So it is 5:26 on Friday, the 23rd of April, and I just got home from work. Literally just sat down at the computer, turned on my microphone, hit record because I am just torn up about the passing of Shock G. I can't get a hold of Chad, and no one else. He's on a movie shoot or something, and no one else really bonds with me. No one that I know bonds with me about Digital Underground the way that Chad does. So, boy, I don't even know where to begin. With my biggest regret is never seeing him live. I never got to do that, so I'll touch on that some more. And I also want to say, like from the outset, people might be like, "Really, Adam? You're that torn up over the Humpty Dance guy?" A lot of people don't realize that the people who know music and know hip hop know that Shock G was far more than Humpty Hump. I mean, this dude was a musical genius. Now, I know the word genius gets thrown around a lot. I know I throw it around a lot. It just so happens that most of the people I like are legitimately geniuses in whatever field: music, movies, acting, writing, whatever. Shock G is no exception. Shock G is a legitimate music genius. And the Humpty Dance, while by far his most known song, at least under his band Digital Underground, it's not just Humpty. He is way more than just Humpty Hump. And but Humpty Hump is great, so I don't want to discount that either. I'm feeling better than I was maybe 20, 30 minutes ago. I was almost in tears, and I was listening to Roxanne Shante on Sirius XM. Rock the Bills! Still wish it was Backspin. But listening to a tribute, and Too Short called in, and his manager called in, and it was a celebration of life. And at the time, I'm not ready to celebrate his life. I'm straight up in mourning his death phase. But I did feel a little bit better having listened to it, because it did bring out some good stories, brought some good smiles, reminded me of some of the moments and some of the things that I love so much about Digital Underground and Shock G. Let me just, before I forget, his manager, his longtime manager, from the Oakland Bay Area, told some stories like Shock G was such a generous guy. He would go to the ATM and then literally pass out money to bums just randomly, or he would pick someone up off the street and be like, "You look like you could use a shower," and would rent a hotel and let them have a shower and sleep somewhere warm for the night. And it's like, look, that might not change their life forever, but at least when, as he put it, when Shock G was around, it was okay. For that moment when Shock was around, you were all right. And so I didn't know that about him. People may only know Digital Underground. Of course, he was a prolific hip hop producer. Right before I got out of the car, on Backspin, they played Tupac's best song, and probably the biggest song Shock G was ever involved in, "I Get Around." Tupacalypse Now, Don't Stop for Hoes. And so I Get Around, Tupac, that was playing. That was, I think, probably, I'm guessing, bigger than the Humpty Dance overall in terms of single sales, charting, and everything. I don't know. Humpty Dance is pretty big and certainly well remembered. But, I had to just sit there and listen to it. I pulled into my garage and I just could not turn it off, because that last section, that last little minute or so maybe, is just the fucking sweetest groove, beat, samples, instrumentation. Just listen to it. There's so much going on in that song. And I love there's this cool keyboard sort of vibe. There's these piano keys. There's these just very fantastic hip hop drum beat. And I couldn't turn it off. And of course, that's the part where you hear Shock, round and round, round it goes. And it's just, I couldn't get out of my car until the song was over. And I remember Chad and I, like, our first attempt at radio podcasting. So it was called radio back in the early 90s. We used that as our bumper music. Like, as an 11 or 12-year-old, or maybe 12, 13-year-old, I took the tape and looped that 1 minute on the dual cassette tape player. So I had this sweet instrumental beat of the last portion of I Get Around, and that was like our bumper music for our non-existent commercials for our non-existent radio show that only exists on a cassette tape. But man, okay, so I guess I'll start at the beginning. Some of my earliest memories are of Shock G. And by the way, we will Chad and I will definitely do a piece together. And spoiler alert, we were planning on doing Digital Underground as part of season 2 anyway, but now we're gonna bump it up because we have to. I'll start at the beginning. Some of my earliest memories are associated with Digital Underground. And the very beginning, it would have been 90, I think, 90, 91 at the latest. So that would make me 9 or 10 years old. I remember seeing this incredible music video that I had seen nothing like in my life. I was only 9 or 10, but to this day, and the feeling that it gave me, it was the Humpty Dance. And my family, we didn't have cable for a while in the early 80s, but by that time we had cable, but my parents didn't let us watch MTV. Like, that was not, we weren't allowed to watch MTV when we were that young. So I could sneak it at my grandma's house though. And I remember late at night, up alone, or maybe my sister was with me, and seeing this video come on of this funky looking dude with this fur hat with a tag on it, big nose, fur coat, glasses, and what the hell is this? This is the funniest, most interesting. It was funny. It was funny to a 9-10-year-old, but mostly it was cool. Just the name of it, Digital Underground. The underground part of it just made it sound mysterious, like a speakeasy kind of thing. Underground, club. Underground, activities. And then digital, what a cool name. Digital Underground. And I saw the Humpty Dance, and there's a little before scene, I think, where he's coming up onto the stage before the music starts, and there's I'll never forget how that made me feel, and I was just sold right from the minute. I'm like, this is incredible music. This is an incredible image. You saw Humpty. You saw later what I come to learn was Shock G, Money B, and several backup singers and stuff. But it was all about Humpty. And then the lines, in a 69 my Humpty nose will tickle your rear. I had no idea what a 69 was, but that line let me know there was something, and it had something to do with that. So that definitely stayed with me for years until I figured out what that meant. I'm the one who said just grab them in the biscuits. I mean, I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom. Hey, yo, fat girl. Come here, are you ticklish? Yeah, I called you fat. Look at me, I'm skinny. It never stopped me from getting busy. I'm a freak. I like a girls with the boobs. I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom. I mean, these lyrics today are genius, hilarious, evocative, provocative. It's brilliant, and everything. The visual clues, like holding up a pickle and a measuring tape. I like my oatmeal lumpy, as he's eating lumpy oatmeal. Doing the Humpty Dance. as a 9 or 10, that left such an impression. And then later that year, or sometime after that, I remember going to, it was Disc Jockey at Oakview Mall, and getting the cassette tape for Sex Packets, the Digital Underground album that Humpty dances on, and of course Do What You Like, Underwater Rhymes, Sex Packets, the song, Freaks of the Industry, so many great ones, just amazing songs. But obviously I was looking for the Humpty dance, and right there on the cover you see Humpty, and you see Sex Packets, and you really see Shock G holding up like this glowing packet, and it was like blue and black and dark, and but like this like fluorescent blue kind of vibe, the packet. And a sex packet, what is that? No idea what I was about to get into. And my dad had no idea what he was buying me that day. I remember giving it to him and him looking at the cassette front and back. It did not have a parental advisory sticker on it. It didn't have the black and white thing. But if I do recall correctly, there was a tiny little, like, their own explicit lyrics thing in like white, a little white box, if I recall correctly. But it didn't like really draw your attention to it. And my dad, I'm thinking about this, I'm like 10 maybe at this point. I'm pretty safe to say this would have been 91-ish. Maybe 10 years old when my dad buys me this. And I really just, we told the story on, what episode was that? Oh, it was the Color Me Bad episode. I couldn't remember if it was the I Want to Sex You Up single, or if it was this one. I'm pretty sure it was this one. Sex Packets, where dad looks at it and goes, promise me this isn't too weird. I don't remember what I said, but I obviously convinced him that it would be okay. And it says fucking Sex Packets on it. He and a warning on it, I believe, and he got it for me, and it honestly kind of changed my life. Like that might be dramatic. It sounds dramatic. It might be an overstatement, but I certainly I feel like it changed my life. I feel like it sent me down a certain path with not just music, but culture in general, and comedy and performance and having multiple things, not just music but performance art. I mean, this character Humpty Hump, who I had no idea was Shock G, was such an amazing character. And then so I must have listened to the Humpty Dance, which I believe is the first track on the cassette tape. I mean, a million times. But the rest of the album was fucking great. I mean, holy shit. There was so much good. Rhymin' on the Funk was another one I didn't mention earlier. The Danger Zone. These songs of Gutfest 89. Well, I have a story about that. I truly remarkable cassette tape, and I just remember listening to the whole thing front to back over and over and over again. I mean, obviously the Humpty Dance was great, and I memorized every single word to that song. I can do it karaoke without having to look at the monitor. And I do the voice, as you could tell. Not always well, but so my first memory of performing that, so to speak, was that year at summer camp. This would have been summer of 91 or summer maybe of 92. And going to summer camp for a week or two. And for whatever reason, there was a dance contest. And at the end of just lunch in the cafeteria, and this song came on, Humpty Dance came on, and I knew it at that age. I believe the summer between 4th and 5th grade. I may be wrong about that. And I already knew the lyrics, and I knew the dance, and I got literally the first time in my life where there was a dance circle around me, where I got in the middle of it, and I was doing all sorts of dances, not just the Humpty Dance, but like the fire hose, or the the sprinkler, and the shopping cart. I don't think the Cabbage Patch was the thing by that time. At least we didn't call it the Cabbage Patch. Maybe the Roger Rabbit was the thing. But the Worm. I definitely did the Worm, and which I would continue to do at, like, I'm embarrassed to say, high school dances and things. But I'd do the Worm to the Humpty dance, and people thought it was cool. I know the older kids, the camp counselors, thought it was really cool. Like, I don't remember what it was, but, like, we got some scoring system. I got a whole bunch of points for it. And just more important than the points was just, like, the recognition of the cooler kids. Because when you're, like, 10 or 11, kids who are, like, 14, 15 are really fucking cool. Like, they know everything. And so if they're playing the Humpty Dance, that's a cool song. And if I am doing it, then I'm cool. So... never, ever, ever forget that moment. Then came, in 5th or 6th grade came, 92's, I think this would have been 6th grade, 92's, This Is an EP release. Their second one, which was an EP, an extended play, not a full album, I believe, 6, 7, 8 tracks, maybe 6. The one, same song, was great. That was an original. That was a song from the movie they made with Dan Aykroyd, or the Dan Aykroyd movie with, was it Light of Day? No, that was Michael J. Fox. I don't remember the name of that movie. It wasn't good. I have never really seen it. I've seen the part where they perform it in the music video. Oh, look, Chad's calling. Let's see what he's got to say. Hey, bro.
Oh, man.
Believe it or not, when I couldn't get a hold of you, I sat down at the computer and microphone, and I'm just riffing. I'm literally I'm recording right now. I didn't hit stop, so say hi to the audience.
Hello.
I as I put it, I'm like, Chad and I are going to do something later, but, like, I can't get a hold of Chad, and he's my best he's like my only Digital Underground friend. He's the only possible person that knows how I feel right now, and I need to talk. I need to talk about Digital Underground. I was like, just in a complete mess about 45 minutes ago, on my drive home from work. I'm still in my suit.
It's completely messed up.
I did
the opposite. I needed to nap, and it was all I could think about.
Yeah. And, you know, what, do you remember the name of the Dan Aykroyd movie that was in? You know, same song?
Oh my gosh, how can I forget? Hold on.
Yeah, I think Christopher Lloyd was in it. Yeah, go ahead and fact check.
That's what I'm doing, fact check.
Real life fact check in real life. So
nothing but trouble.
Nothing but trouble. I've never seen it. Have you seen the movie? I mean, I've seen the video within the movie, but I haven't seen the movie itself.
Oh yeah, I've seen the movie. I don't remember it much, but I mean, Chevy Chase was in it. John Candy.
Wow.
I mean, directed by Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd directed it.
Yeah, that's. Well, that's a movie we gotta watch. I think it's a movie we gotta review on the show.
Oh, you're right. I think we gotta do it on the show.
How are you doing, man? I mean, like, you sound. Is it because you just woke up, or are you just that busted up over it?
I haven't been up early since the pandemic started. Yeah, man, this is a sad day. Like, and I woke up to this. So, I mean, like, I woke up, shuffled my feet before 6 o'clock, clicked my phone because I had literally 20 minutes to get out, and the first thing I saw this morning was Shock G died. I was like, what the fuck? I
woke up to an email from my sister, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it. She obviously knows how much it means to us. But, you know, it wasn't until, like, after lunch that I was able to reply to her and just be like, thanks. I haven't been able to bring myself to even respond to this until now. Her response was, one of the coolest moments of my life was seeing him live. And I just would be like, fuck you. I started this I started this, like, whatever the fuck I'm doing right now. The first thing I said is that the biggest regret in my life really is not seeing him live.
I mean, we tried to.
We tried to.
And that's what sucks is like, this almost takes away how great that experience was.
Yeah.
Because we know we went up there to see him specifically. Not that we didn't want to see MC Hammer, but I mean, like, we went up for that purpose.
Yep.
And then now we don't ever get to have that experience. We've been checking. I mean, we've been trying to find where we could see him, and there's only a couple of handfuls of like really random underground shows.
Right. Yeah, like in Oakland and shit, like in like all over the nowhere close, and I mean, and then of course when you're thinking, like, I figured maybe he was in his early 60s, 57. I mean, I thought, I figured we had more time. Like, even though he's pretty much retired from performing, I just figured at some point we'd be able to see him again. But, I mean, we drove over 1,100 miles round trip to see him. For about, like, a 45-minute set, it would have been. Just him, not Digital Underground.
Probably would have been he would have been one of the 25-minute ones. He wouldn't have been the one song, but it wouldn't have been like a 45 set. I'm pretty sure. Right?
Yeah, I think he was like either second or third on the bill. Like, he was pretty far down. So I mean, down on the bill. Like he's not top bill. Definitely that was MC Hammer, Salt and Peppa, Tone Loc in that order, top down. Bottom up, it was like tag team, then probably Shock G.
Yeah, because I mean, not as many people know Shock G over Digital Underground. Like, I looked at my buddy who got in the car this morning, and I'm like, Shock G died from Digital Underground, man. And he goes, okay. I'm like, the Humpty Dance? Oh, yeah. Did they do anything else? Like, oh, motherfucker, get out of my car.
Well, and here's the thing. He created, I haven't made this point yet, but he created a character, a piece of performance art, not just a singer or an actor, but a genuine, unique piece of performance art that was bigger than anything he could have done otherwise. I mean, like, Humpty is more well known than Shock G, I would say, to the masses, by far.
Oh, by far. You say Humpty Hump, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I know that dude.
Yeah, you say Shock G, you're like, yeah, who's that?
Yeah, okay. Was he part of the band?
We always talked about, you and I always talked for years about how, like, he was underappreciated and didn't get nearly as much credit for his musical genius. I will say, I was listening to, on Rock the Bells, a tribute to him. The people inside the industry know. Other rappers, other producers, his manager, radio DJs, they all know Shock G is a fucking genius, not just for what he did with Digital Underground, but all the other stuff that he did, all the producing, discovering Tupac, discovering Lunez, all of that stuff. He's well known within the industry, but the masses don't know about how important he is, and so on some level, I'm glad that he gets the recognition. And on a certain level, I think it's cool that Chad Bischoff and Adam Wentz from West Omaha, white as fuck suburb, like are like part of the cool culture that knows how influential he was.
He at least isn't he never said fuck you like an animal.
Right. He said, in a 69, my Humpty nose will tickle your rear. I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom. Well, the
remember that line.
Burger King bathroom. People remember that one.
Well, yeah, true. But I mean, it's one of those things to where that is cool that, like, Adam and Chad from West Omaha knew how influential he was, and I knew how influential and how important he was inside, because he's always referenced on the inside when you listen to people talk. But it's not like, it's not like Dr. Dre, who was like, who was a rapper who also was mainly a producer and DJ.
Right.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who that is. So he never reached that sort of critical performance success, even though Humpty Dance was on probably as much as Dre Day back in the day.
Well, in Humpty Dance, in some ways, is bigger than rap itself because it's like it's kind of a parody. It's kind of something that you hear on other things. It kind of transcends rap. Where Dre Day and Nothing But a G Thing and Snoop Dogg stuff are like more like they are the pinnacle of rap, right? But
Yeah.
like Humpty Dance is like in advertisements and pop culture all over the place. I was actually debating this out loud to myself. Maybe you can weigh in on this. As far as Shock G songs that he was involved in, do you think the biggest song he was involved in was the Humpty Dance or I Get Around by Tupac, which he produced, performed on, made all the beats and everything?
I Get Around.
Yeah.
I Get Around is played 10 to 1 on the radio still.
Probably.
What's hilarious about I Get Around is it's so digital underground sounding.
Oh, totally.
It's so produced. I sometimes will be listening to that track and think I'm listening to a digital underground song that Tupac happens to be on.
Totally right.
And then it'll all of a sudden hit me. I'm like, oh yeah, this is Tupac. But all I hear is Shock G in that song.
Totally.
Right from the very beginning, the whole production of it.
Yep.
Is digital underground.
That's a very good point. I mean, it is. You're right. The sounds is Shock G. It sounds like it could have come off of Sex Packets.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. 100%. And that's why I sometimes forget that that's not a digital underground song when it first comes on.
Well, and the lyrics of the satin on the panties line, I mean, just you can tell by my everyday fits. I ain't rich, so cease and desist with them tricks. I'm just another black man caught up in the mix, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. Like,
and I think that's what always disappointed me so much about the public or about media or whatever, is that they never. Tupac really was discovered by Digital Underground, and Tupac became so popular and so big that he became such his own unique icon.
Yeah.
Or he reached his own iconic status, like Dre,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But tons of people know. You say, where did Dre come from? And they're going to say, oh, NWA. You say where Tupac comes from, more people, I believe, I'm making a judgment here, more people are going to say, well, it's Tupac. Like, he's big. He didn't come from anywhere. And it's like, no, he was a part of the underground. And without Shock G producing I Get Around the way he did, it became so massive still to this day. And without some of that initial push, I don't know if you have Tupac. Think about that.
Extremely well made point. And, and it all started with a single verse on the same song. I don't think he was featured on Sex Packets, if I don't recall. Pac. I think it all started with that one verse, half a verse, in the same song.
Oh, absolutely.
Where he was dressed like all tribal and shit. And
yep. Great song.
Yeah, a totally great song. And it all, like, that one line, he did more stuff. I mean, and he also appeared on, Sons of the P, the next one. I mean, that one, I heard somebody say it on the tribute today. You heard that one verse and you're like, who the fuck is this kid?
Yeah, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. But, I mean, so he was the breakout star, but you're right. You're absolutely right that people know Dre and Cube and everybody from NWA. The masses, of course, the insiders know that where Shock came from, but or where Pac came from, but I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna pause it.
Oh, what's he gonna say? Yeah, I hit pause. Wink. It's paused. Oh wait, I gotta hit pause on the record. Well, that was fun. That cheered me up a little bit. Now I'm depressed again. He didn't want to say anything weird. He just didn't want to be boring and talk about like business and stuff. Bore you with that. And he really lifted my spirits, as you probably could see in my face as I was talking to him on the phone, that my mood improved quite a bit, getting to share that with my best friend, my longest friend in my life, and certainly the only person I know in my personal life that loves Digital Underground and Shock G and Humpty Hump as much as I do. I'm depressed again because I just posted our tribute, our first of many tributes to Shock G. We dressed as Humpty and Shock for Halloween. And a funny story about that is I played Humpty, and I remember going to this. So many of these stories come back to my dad. And I was looking, I believe, for the hat and the feather that you'll see in the picture. And I remember specifically saying to Dad, I was trying to tell him who it was and what I was going for. And I said, these words came out of a 11-year-old Adam's mouth. He's kind of like a pimp. My 11-year-old ass said that to my dad in Mangelson's. I didn't know what a pimp was, really. I didn't know what a pimp was. I thought I kind of figured it out. I knew it was somebody like cool or whatever. I wasn't aware that it was like a human trafficker. But just a funny story that was how I described him to my dad. But I remember, same song was awesome. The knot, tie the knot, tie the knot, tie the knot. Da dun da da, da dun da da. They turned that into hip hop, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. The musical genius of Shock G. He was not classically trained, but he studied music theory, and he was a pianist first. That was his axe, so to speak, was piano. And I always thought he always referred to, yo, piano man, take us out of here. And like you'd hear piano licks in his music. I figured it was an actual different person. No, it was Shock G playing piano. And some of the stuff I heard on the tributes is like he's just a virtuoso. Like he just could just kick ass on piano. And he carried one around because that was his music, musical instrument of choice. But he could play everything, of course. And then also what he was so good at was sampling. He was one of the most inventive samplers of all time. Now, Sex Packets was 90, maybe it was 89. I know a lot of the songs were written in 88, 89. Do What You Like, Underwater Rhymes, Humpty Dance, it was 80, 89. And then, there had been music sampling before. Of course, Rapper's Delight, covered that, took the bass line from the disco song, Good Times. Okay, so sampling has been around before this, but he really mastered it. And he took all these G-Funk era songs and updated them and brought them to a whole new generation. He took all the stuff from the 70s that George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic were doing. He used Prince samples. He used jazz samples. He used, I believe, he used like Herbie Hancock and stuff. Like, the brother was not just a music genius in his own right, but he created some of the most masterful samples you will ever hear. And his drum loops, his drum beats were very, very specific sounding. That's what Chad was talking about. Like, it sounds like, I Get Around sounds like a Digital Underground song featuring Pac, because his sound is so distinct and his beats are so distinct. In fact, in a later album, Body Hat Syndrome, he had the Humpty Dance Awards, where he played all these, is a like phony award show. Again, performance art, not just music or not just a character, but like combining all of these things. The Humpty Dance Awards, where he kind of praised himself and played little snippets of all the songs that had come out in the 3 or 4 years after the Humpty Dance that used his sample. So he sampled all these people for the Humpty Dance, and then they sampled him, and that drum beat you will hear in stuff all the time. You've heard it a million times in other stuff and may not have associated it, but such an amazing sample sound and stuff. So This is an EP release, was a great little keep your lips wet until Sons of the P comes out, and Sons of the P, Parliament Funkadelic, and the D Flow Shuttle. But that had some big hits on it. I mean, nothing ever could reach the level of Humpty Dance. I mean, his first album out of the gate, first major single, not his first single ever, but his first one that really broke through to the masses. He could never replicate that again, and I don't know how could you possibly, who could ever replicate something like the Humpty Dance. But this is as close as he came, with songs like Kiss You Back, Kiss Me and I'll Kiss You Back. Really poppy, really sing-songy, very lighthearted, not really graphic the way that, there's no 69ing in a Burger King bathroom type things. And then the other single from that one was No Nose Job, and that was his Humpty, that was the big Humpty song single on that album, which was technically their follow-up. This was their first LP after the Sex Packet. So a couple of years went by and he came out with a new one, and it couldn't hit the same high notes, but it had some really good stuff on it. And nobody else don't know nose job, said nobody else don't know nose job, smarter than that. And it was not just a parody on his image and the nose, but it was again part of the genius that is Shock G. His lyrics were brilliant. They were funny, they were poignant, they were dirty, they were everything. And we had it was a play on plastic surgery in general, using his own created character to parody something real and talk about, don't change your look, you're fine the way you are kind of thing. There's a couple other really good ones on there, but the all right, parents, go ahead and tuck your kids in. PG time is over. Oh. This one goes out to all the Macs in the industry. And this is a song about him being a pimp. And it's really funny to hear Humpty, the character, sing about his hard time. There was a time when they called me Smooth Eddie. I told Chad that we're going to have to start making a list of people we want to meet and really try to make sure that so that's my final story. I'll wrap it up. He mentioned it. So in 2016, we went to 16 or 17. We went to Minnesota together, all the way, almost 600 miles each way, to a small casino in Minnesota for Kicking It Old School 2, I believe. And the headliner was MC Hammer, and Salt and Pepper was next down, and then Tone Loc, and Shock G was supposed to be on there, and so was Tag Team. And we were so excited. We had never seen Shock G before. We had never seen Digital Underground before, so we never got to see him live. And the point is, we went to see him. He was billed. That's the whole reason we bought the ticket and traveled all that way. And we're in line to go through security, and the sign of the acts are just there on a billboard, and Chad goes, wait a minute, where the fuck is Shock G? The fuck? Like the day before, whatever, Shock G backed out, and he was replaced by Rex in Effect, and who doesn't like Rump Shaker? But I mean, fucking all I want to do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom, just shake your rump. And got nothing on Shock G. And honestly, we didn't even care if he played Digital Underground stuff. We didn't. That's not what we cared about. I mean, we wanted to see Shock. And I guess I'll leave it with this. I said that already, but I'll say it one more time. The funniest thing about how big of fans we were. Remember, there was no internet in the early 90s, right? And even in the mid 90s, it wasn't really a thing. And then in the late 90s, I wasn't really into Digital Underground. It wasn't until college. I'm afraid to admit this, but it's like funny given how big of fans we are. Chad calls me up and goes, did you know Shock G and Humpty Hump are the same person? I was like, bullshit. No, what the fuck are you talking about? They're different people. I saw them in the video. I just, I think I've seen the liner notes in their CDs that say, Shock G and Humpty Hump, different people. He had to convince me, and then I had to, like, on the phone with him, verify that. And the slow realization when I'm, I don't know, maybe 22, 23, when we finally realized that Shock G and Humpty Hump were the same person. And we remember saying, like, oh my God, we're so glad we never saw him before that. We got backstage and was like, yo, Shock, man, what's up, man? Hey, where's Humpty? Where's Humpty Hump, bro? And that would have been really embarrassing. And it wasn't until I saw a video of him doing both voices in the same video where he's Shock G and then Israel goes out of the yeah. Oh, that will probably always be the most embarrassing moment. And then this is the guy who's does it in karaoke full on with the voice, does the worm in front of people, does the by the way, at Kicking It Old School too, we were so crushed by the fact that he wasn't there that we couldn't really focus on. Salt and Peppa was great. We were blown away. Tone Loc was great. MC Hammer was great. We were like, fuck Rex and Effect. Nothing against them, but like we didn't even stay in the tent for that one. And but I also had I think that was the last time in my life that I remember that I had another circle around me as I was dancing. Shock, love you, bro. You will hear more from me and Chad as time continues. And then excited, we'll be kicking off season 2.5 after our summer hiatus. We'll be kicking off season 2.5 with our tribute to Digital Underground. We were going to do Digital Underground anyway. We're going to do Digital Underground as the finale to season 2. But now we're going to move it up to the first episode of season 2.5. So we will get to that a little earlier and cover their career. Much like Nine Inch Nails is Trent Reznor, Digital Underground was Shock G. Money B and there are lots of, Klee. There were other, there was technically a co-founder, but it was Shock G. I mean, that's what Digital Underground was. So, now I get the sad stuff out of the way now, and so that episode can be a little bit more of a celebration of his life. So, go tell the people you love that you love them. Go do something that you've been putting off, and follow your dreams. And rest in peace, Shock. Truly love you, bro. Pour out a little liquor. Say hi to Pac for me.